Shalom to the house of Israel. I'm your brother Abaniah of the south arm of the Great Millstone Camp here in Trinidad, Heralds of Yahushai, coming to you with another lesson to the spirit and power of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai. But first we give all honor, all glory, all praises to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahushai, Bahasham, Rekah HaKodash. Double honors to the apostles, prophets, and teachers of Great Millstone, our spiritual fathers who rule well, teach well. Peace and salutations to the sincere Akim and Akwat who follow this truth in all diligence and all sincerity. Our lesson today is entitled The Abuse of the Principal Things Leads to Sin. The abuse of the principal things leads to sin. Alright? Now this is Sirach 39 from verse 25. It says, For the good are good things created from the beginning, so evil things for sinners. The principal things for the whole use of man's life are water, fire, iron, and salt, flour of wheat, honey, milk, and the blood of the grapes, and oil and clothing. All these things are for good to the godly, so to the sinner they are turned into evil. So these are the things necessary, for a man to live. Right? So a man must have water, he must have heat, fire for heat, he must have iron, salt, all these things we need. Right? All these things we need to get by. But you see, as the scriptures say, all these things are good to the godly. To those who know how to use it wisely, you operating in wisdom, they will use it wisely. But to those who are sinners, who are evil, what they're going to do? They're going to use it in evil. For example, a man using, like we say, fire in a godly way. We know fire could be used to create heat, to bake bread and whatever. Fire could also be used for welding different metals together, to build either gates or doors or fences or cars or what have you. All these things have good benefits and uses. But the sinful way to use fire is the creation of nuclear bombs, weapons, guns, things that bring harm to others. Right? So that's just one example. Right? Now, for those who make these weapons, there's a whole saying in the scripture, he who lives by the sword will die by the sword. This is why a lot of them face that same condemnation, that judgment. Wherewith by a man sinned shall the same he be punished. Roughly paraphrasing, that's how the scripture go. Right? So you see in principle things that a man need. Now, I want to touch on one that was not mentioned in the scripture here, because it have some men who use it, some men who could go through life without it. And that's sex, right? Now, some men were made eunuchs. By men, some were made eunuchs for the gospel's sake. We had the Apostle Paul, who didn't have women. He didn't have no children. He didn't have no wife. He was completely devoted to the ministry, right? So let me show you how one way, sex, which is a good thing. What is the purpose of sex? Let's explore what the scriptures say. Let's go to Genesis chapter 1, verses 27 and 28. It says, so the Elohim created man in his own image. In the image of power created he him. Male and female created he them. And power blessed them, and power said unto them, be fruitful and multiply and replenish the earth and subdue it. So that being fruitful and multiply goes into what? Having sex to produce what is known as babies, offspring. Be fruitful and multiply and replenish the earth and subdue it and have dominion over the fish of the sea and over the fowl of the air and over every living thing that moveth upon the earth. So the purpose of sex, first and foremost, is for procreation, to procreate, to reproduce. Right? Let's get another precept, Genesis chapter 4, verses 1 and 2. It says, and Adam knew Eve his wife, and she conceived and bare Cain, and said, I have gotten a man from Yahweh. And she again bare his brother Abel, and Abel was a keeper of sheep, but Cain was a tiller of the ground. So let's go into my sword. Let's go to Genesis chapter 4 and verse 1. A second here, Old Testament, chapter 4, verses 1. Let's go into that word new. We have various definitions here, right? Let's go down to the one that fits the context of the verse. It says, this is 3, to know a person carnally. Right? How do you know a person carnally? It means to have sex. Let's go down. Let's see if we find. Let's see. See, as you can see, it's pretty long. Let's see. Progestinator. Let's see. Bear with me here. Or kinfolk, kinsman. Let's see. Acquainted. This one, to know a person carnally, is in regards to sex. Let's see what the next one says. Okay, the new again. You have to know, to learn to know, to perceive, and see, to find out, and to discern. And as I said, pertaining to the context of that verse, to know means know a person carnally. Right? Because when you go back, and Adam knew Eve, his wife, and she conceived. Clearly, this is talked for conception to take place, there must be sex. Right? Go back to the scriptures, Wisdom of Solomon. Let's get that, Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 7. It says, I myself am a mortal man like to all, and the offspring of him that was first made of the earth. And in my mother's womb, which is conception, was fashioned to be flesh in the time of 10 months, being compacted in blood, of the seed of man, which is sperma, and the pleasure that came with sleep. And when I was born, I drew in the common air and fell upon the earth, which is of like nature. And the first voice which I uttered was crying, as all others do. I was nursed in swaddling clothes, and that with cares. He's talking about he not only having the clothes on his body, but the milk that was provided for him. Right? It says, for there is no king that had any other beginning of birth. For all men have one entrance into life, and that's through sex, and the like going out, which is through death. Right? So, let's get one more precept. Sex is necessary, because without sex we can't procreate. So Psalms 127, verses 3 to 5, it says, lo, children are a heritage of Yahweh, and the fruit of the womb is his reward. Right? As arrows are in the hand of a mighty man, so are children of the youth. Happy is the man that had his quiver full of them. They shall not be ashamed, but they shall speak with the enemies in the gate. So you see, the benefits to having sex is for procreate. Another benefit to sex, it's pleasurable. Scripture say the marriage is honorable in the sight of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai, and the bed undefiled. And marriage is sex. Sex is marriage. Right? Now let's go to the aspect now of how that's something that was created to be righteous for the purpose of procreation is being used to do evil. Right? So let's go to Genesis 19. One example, verses 4 and 5. 4 to 5, right? It says, but before they lay down, the men of the city, even the men of Sodom, compassed the house round, both old and young, all the people from every quarter. And they called unto Lot and said unto him, where are the men which came in to thee this night? Bring them out unto us that we may know them. And that know them was not talking about asking them the name and where they're from and where they believe in and all of that. No. This was to know them carnally, was to lie with them. Because we all know what sin Sodom was guilty of. See the licentious and lascivious behavior? They were laden with sexual depravity. Right? Let's get another one. Romans 1:27. Romans 1, verse 27. It says, and likewise also the men, leaving the natural use of the woman, burned in their lusts one towards another, which took place in Sodom also. Men with men. This is talking about homosexual relations or natural relations between same sex, same genders. Men with men working that which is unseemly and receiving in themselves that recompense of their error which was meet. And even as they did not like to retain power in their knowledge, power gave them over to a reprobate mind, to do those things which are not convenient, being filled with all unrighteousness. And look at the first transgression, fornication. Fornication is not sex before marriage as you Christians taught. See, homosexuality, that's fornication. Lesbianism, that's fornication. Bestiality, that's fornication. Sleeping with another man's wife is also fornication. But it has a particular terminology called adultery also. All of those falls under fornication. So you're seeing something that was created for a purpose to produce offspring and to bring pleasure to those who enjoy the bonds of marriage being turned into something unrighteous. Let's get Exodus 20 and verse 14. Exodus 20 and verse 14. It says, thou shalt not commit adultery. Adultery is when a man goes in onto a woman who has a husband. Adultery for a woman is a woman having sex with any man other than her husband. Right? Let's get Leviticus 20 and verse 10 now. Let's see Leviticus 20 and verse 10. It says, and the man that committed adultery with another man's wife, even he that committed adultery with his neighbor's wife, the adulterer and the adulteress shall be put to death. Why? Because something that was meant to be enjoyed by married people who are married to each other, you see it's being enjoyed by two persons who are not married to each other, thus committing what is known as a transgression or a sin. So things that the Lord gave, principal things, men have turned it around and use it for evil. One of the principal things we see is water, and what you're seeing taking place today, they are poisoning the water. Various chemicals. The water is laced with fluoride. Fluoride is a dangerous chemical that is of no benefit to the human body. They have monopolized the water, they have taken ownership of it, and as a result, they're charging you hefty fines and prices to drink clean drinking water. All these things are evil, and the Lord is going to recompense. Look at another one here, sexual pertaining to unrighteous sex, sexual depravity. This is from continuing, and the man that lied with his father's wife had uncovered his father's nakedness. Both of them shall surely be put to death. Their blood shall be upon them. And if a man lie with his daughter-in-law, both of them shall surely be put to death. They have wrought confusion. Their blood shall be upon them. So you see, when you look at man, they have been abusing these things. Especially Jakes, love to go in onto other men's wife. Women love to go and have sex with multiple men and then commit abortions. So you're seeing in Israel today, persons are no longer spiritually or morally responsible in anything that they do. All the things that the Lord put for benefit, they take it and they use it for evil. Because for some strange reason, they have become bored in well-doing. They find evil to be more exciting. So, as such, those of us who follow this truth, may we continue to serve Yahweh B'Hashem Yahushai in righteousness. May we continue to be men and women who are temperate in all things, with balance. So with that, I pray this little lesson was edifying through the spirit and power of Yahweh B'Hashem Yahushai. I'm your brother Benaiah of the South Arm of the Great Millstone Camp, Heralds of Yahushai, saying Shalom till the next lesson.